Thanks so much for joining us for another bonus content for the Tri-State Consortium 2017 conference. And we're especially proud of all those we brought to the conference, but we're especially appreciative of our current guest right now, Dr. Jamil Salmi, from former World Bank tertiary expert for higher education. Thanks so much for making the time to connect with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
If you missed out on this conference, Dr. Salmi just blew minds in his keynote about the future of work and higher education and the need to adapt and innovate in this space. I want to start off with a quote from Alvin Toffler. The literate of 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Being that higher education is a place for advanced learning, at its current state, do you feel higher ed has dropped the ball in preparing students for the future of work?
Well, I think, it's half empty, half full class. So there are many institutions that are very traditional, very resistant to change, without realizing that the world of work has evolved and is going to change even more rapidly. Also that the young people who come to colleges and universities are very different from what we were or even what our children were. So we talk about this E-generation, kids who were born with the internet, who had an iPad when they were 2 years old, and who have been accessing information and sharing and have participated in social media. They are totally different. The joke is that professor goes to sleep, and during the night the students learn many things, and the professor is not aware of it by the time he or she wakes up. So really, tertiary education has to evolve, and thank God there are a few new institutions that are very different. And maybe to mention just one, Alvin College of Engineering in a small village called Needham in Massachusetts is one of the most revolutionary engineering schools I'm aware of. Mm. And why are they different? Because the learning takes place in teams of students. The learning takes place by doing projects or designing solutions to problems. The learning takes place with a team of professors who work across academic disciplines, so in a multidisciplinary way. And the learning is not only about engineering education, it's also about entrepreneurship, so they work together with Babson College. It's also about humanities and values, so they work together with Wellesley College. And as a result, the graduates are very well regarded by firms like Google and Microsoft who line up to hire a bunch of them. Many of these young people are so empowered that they create their own companies or they go for graduate studies in some of the top universities in the country.
When it comes to this collaborative environment that students need to adopt to be successful in the world of work, what are some of the things that, especially if opportunity programs, can do? Because they can't control the faculty so much, they can only have so much leadership there, influence, even senior administrators, they might have some challenges. What can opportunity programs begin to do until they win over some of the senior leadership to adopt this new cultural shift?
I think that by experimenting with these new ways of teaching and learning, that's how, you look at the better results, then that's how you can convince the reluctant professors or reluctant administrators. And we increasingly see that peer learning from each other is much more effective. It's for several reasons, because there you're not afraid of asking a silly question. A professor will say, "Oh, this student is a bad student." You work with your peers, with your friends. They can be frank to each other, but they can be also very helpful. So working as teams is a very powerful tool nowadays.
And I'm thinking a lot of the opportunity programs, one of the hallmarks of opportunity program is the Summer Bridge pre-college program. So they name it differently at different campuses, but that seems like a hot space where they can experiment with that. A lot of that, when we talk about experimenting with new models and methods, is technology. The downside of the new technology in education is that they're running against ethical issues of privacy, encroachment on student information, and also obviously it gives you the benefits of new information that you wouldn't have normally accessed. What's your take, or what are some of the things that you want our members to walk away with when it comes to tapping into education technology to help with that kind of experiment?
I think, first of all, I agree that outreach and bridge programs, such as these summer schools or institutes, are very powerful instrument because the high school students get to know the college and university environment and not to be afraid or not to be skeptical. But technology is not the answer. Technology is fun for young people, but it's not the miracle solution. And so it has to be used as a support, as a channel, but it won't give you all the answers. So for example, many universities now are using big data to follow the digital footprint of students, and that's very useful for early detection of students at risk. But at the same time, as you yourself mentioned, you want to make sure that privacy is respected and protected, and that these big data are not used to target students as consumers, but really to help them through appropriate academic and psychological support.
Yeah, so education technology is definitely important. It has to be part of the future, but tread carefully, right?
Definitely.
You mentioned again, the topic was it was fascinating, but also could be a little disturbing, some of the things that you were citing. One of them was that on average, upward mobility for students of opportunity didn't see the upward economic mobility as other students. It largely depended on the college. What were some of the distinctions in those colleges that actually produced students that had more opportunities after graduation? Because after all, opportunity programs are supposed to help students move up in life. So what's your thoughts on that and what you've seen in your
First of all, I think too often when we talk about opportunities, we mean opportunities of access, which of course is where you start, but that's not sufficient.
Exactly.
If just getting the students into colleges, universities, if they don't graduate, and you don't have opportunities of success, which is really what you're after. So making sure through retention programs that students who need help will be guided, will be encouraged, will be supported. And then bridging the gap between college and the world of work through career counseling, through internships, through close relationship with industry, so that opportunities for not only for success, but then for access to jobs, to good jobs, to jobs that correspond to what the students has learned. That's very important. And also for colleges to listen to employers. Are they giving the right skills, the right attitudes? Very often when I visit a country, I don't go to visit only the college or the university, but I like to talk to employers. And in many parts of the world, I hear the same thing. I said, these graduates, okay, they are good professionals, but they don't know how to work. So it's not only about the professional skills, but also about the generic competencies such as communication, teamwork,
critical thinking,
problem solving. This is also very important.
Yeah, I see the trend that data science seems to be in the upward tick, because it's almost like in the age of big data, a lot of universities are offering certificates or minors or even degrees in data science now. That's a big request for universities that I've found. Bringing it back to a quote from Rich Riley, we're currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist using technology that haven't yet been invented in order to solve problems that aren't even here yet. Opportunity programs have a lot on their plate. They are just seeing the fruits of their labor with access and bringing students in. Can we really expect opportunity programs to also take care of the second half, what you talked about, the career thing? If so, what are some of the things they should do with the institution ecosystem there?
I think there are lots of good experiences, and I think a network like your conference and your affiliates should work together to share the good practices, to share failures, because I believe we learn a lot from failure, sometimes more than from success.
Yes.
I think that's...
We might have to repeat that part over and over again when we do.
Definitely, you know.
That's true.
That's how you learn to walk, by falling and then having the courage,
Yes.
the determination to get up again and to learn from your misstep and take one more step forward.
Last question. You asked if the audience, if they knew someone, and no one raised their hands. I was wondering if you can share a little bit more about Chris Langan and his story and his background and why that gives us hope for opportunity programs to keep on going.
Well, we're talking about why is equity important? And obviously the first answer is for social justice reasons. But it's also important because we have lots of talent out there who is wasted because these individuals who will not make it to tertiary education, or they may enter but not graduate. And Chris Langan is a fascinating real case that was documented in Malcolm Gladwell's book on Outliers. Chris Langan is possibly the most intelligent person in the US today, or maybe on planet Earth. He has an IQ of 195. Now, just to put it in perspective, graduate students entering Harvard have on average an IQ of 115. And Einstein had an IQ of 135, so 195, wow. And yet, this guy is a university dropout, comes from a very poor family. He grew up hungry. He got a scholarship options. He got two options, to go to Michigan University or to University of Nebraska, and nothing wrong about University of Nebraska, but he did choose University of Nebraska, and then he dropped out after 1 year. But he was so thirsty for knowledge that on his own he started to read and learn. And the reason we know that he exists is that he was very successful in these TV programs contest called Becoming a Millionaire, you know, because he has such an encyclopedic mind. So, you know, out there are so many Chris Langans and girls and minority students who will not make it even though they are bright and could contribute a lot to the development of our economy and society.
So thanks so much. And so as you hear, it's not just so much for retention and graduation rates. The work that we're doing can impact society in the world of work through stories like this that can happen all the time. And I appreciate you bringing that to light for us today.
Thank you very much.